Blog Talk Radio.
Sometimes this life, it feels like there's not enough days ahead of me. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel, or has it been turned off for me? Think I need someone to help me, to pull me out of this dark open sea. 'Cause it feels like I'm drowning in here, feels like this life is killing me. Can't seem to do this by myself. Am I taking way too much on? Does the reward follow on? I just hope it comes with you. It comes with you. Now I've reached the end of my road. It's taking longer and longer to go. There's only so much I can do, with my hands only numbering two. I think I need someone to help me, to pull me out of this dark open sea. 'Cause it feels like I'm drowning in here, feels like this life is killing me. I can't seem to do this by myself. Am I taking way too much on? Does a reward follow on? I just hope it comes with you. It comes with you.
Welcome, everyone, to Let's Jazz It Up, Blog Talk Radio. I'm your host with the most, Brenda Moss. I have an acoustic blues pop artist, Phillip Broussard. Hello, Phillip. Are you with me this evening?
I am. I can hear you loud and clear.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Tell me briefly about yourself and that song, Drowning. I really dig that. So I know there's a little story behind that song, you know. I know there's a story behind it, but I'll let you get into that later. But first of all, our fans out there who don't know you, can you give them a little brief story about yourself? I guess go back in history, growing up in your hometown.
Yeah, so I grew up in a very rural area in a place called Belfair, Washington. Very small town. Used to see tractors on the roads and stuff all the time. And, we had a feed store nearby. And so, yeah, it was a very, very secluded area, a very rural way of growing up. And Yeah, I've made my home in the Pacific Northwest pretty much ever since. But yeah, I spent some time in the U.S. military. I was in the Navy for 6 years. I've been playing guitar since I was about 15. I'm going to be 32 in April, and that's just me in a nutshell. I mean, there's not a whole lot, to tell really. I mean, it's backgrounds are, it seems like you blink your eye and all of a sudden 10 years goes by.
So how did you get a hold of a guitar? Is your family made up of a lot of musicians?
No.
Your father, mother?
No. They sang in choirs, but that was about as far as it went. I'm the only guitar player in the family. When I was 15, my dad brought home a guitar, and it was this Walmart brand, $99 amp and guitar special. It sounds like crap, but it's it does the job. You pick it up and when you're 15, you never played a guitar before. You have no idea what you're talking about anyway. So it worked, and I learned how to play it. And my dad kept that guitar all the way up until he died. He had me sign it, and he put it in a display case in his closet. I found it after he passed away. But yeah, he held that guitar to him. He told me that one of the best things he ever did was buy me that guitar.
Aw. Well, may his soul rest in peace. And thankfully,
Yeah.
he put a blessing on you. You do a very good job in your skills and your talent being a musician. All right. Well, was there any music group or any artist that inspired you to keep going on your musical journey here?
Yeah. Go ahead.
You mentioned some artists like Pink Floyd, Eric Clapton,
Sure.
Jimi Hendrix.
Oh yeah, big Jimi Hendrix fan. Actually, what's crazy about Jimi Hendrix is that, I've had a couple conversations with people that maybe aren't necessarily big into Jimi Hendrix. I would probably say he's probably the most influential guitarist I think that's ever lived. I think he's the best that's ever lived, and I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand the reasons why he was the best.
I know.
Jimi Hendrix was, he was born black in the United States during a time period when it wasn't really exactly easy to be born black in, and not to mention the fact that his family didn't have a whole lot, and he had a guitar, and it wasn't even, he was left-handed, and it was a right-handed guitar, so it wasn't even comfortable for him to play.
Right.
His family not having very much money, he went and taught himself how to be the best guitar player that has ever lived. And I think a lot of people, so I have to say that Jimi Hendrix is by far just not only the best guitar player I've ever heard, but also just one of the most driven, and he knew what his passion was, and he knew what he wanted to do. And I just find that fascinating. I think he was able to speak through his guitar. He was able to almost use it as a secondary voice, and I just think he was just absolutely fantastic in everything he did musically.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jimi Hendrix was one of the biggest. But going back to like Robert Johnson, he's a blues artist, from the early 20th century. Elvis Presley was another one. He sang "That's All Right, Mom" and recorded it. He was really big into the blues. Eric Clapton was another one. So yeah, I just a lot of these amazing blues singers, and Robert Johnson's another one too. He didn't, I don't even think Robert Johnson could read, and he taught himself how to play this instrument. That's amazing.
Most musicians play by ear. They don't read music, and
right.
That's more fascinating, to me. And Jimi Hendrix, he is one of my favorite all-time inspiring musicians.
Sure.
I still, talk about him to other people myself today. But you brought my attention as well. I really had to sit and concentrate to listen to your music, and I see some signs in there what you picked up on in some of these classic artists, and I like that. So how did you come up with the title of this song, "Drowning"?
Well, so
There had to be a
that
story
song,
with that one, huh?
yeah, I mean, I'm 30, I'm 31 right now, and there's times I get home from work or whatever, and I feel, I'm exhausted, and maybe I've gotten chewed out by a customer, or maybe employees are giving me a hard time, or what have you, and I just sit down in my chair at home, and I go to pick up a guitar, and I just think, great, only 35 more years of that, and then I can either retire or die. And so sometimes life, I think, feels like we're just drowning. I think there's special people in our lives that make living worthwhile, but I think a lot of times, life just really has a way of beating us down. And so that's kind of what that song's about. And I think I tried to express that more through the guitar than I did through voice or through the lyrics, I suppose.
I understand it. I can feel that, Can you give us detailed information abroad about this upcoming EP, Wavelength?
Yeah, so Wavelength is, it was released a couple months ago, and it's just 5 songs. It was whittled down from about 30, and the selection process involved friends and family telling me what was a good song and what were garbage, and so I had about 30 songs, whittled them down to about 5 that I thought maybe accurately portrayed me as an artist, to show a little bit of versatility, not only on the guitar, but the ability to write lyrics. And I also thought it had something for everybody. I thought there was people that would like maybe the darker tones of Drowning, and I thought maybe there's people that would like the happier tones of Just Want to Believe. And so when I thought of a title, I thought of that. I pictured in my head a sine wave. It goes up and down, up and down. And I feel like it doesn't really matter who you are. I think there's a song for everybody on that record. Maybe not the screamo heavy metal types, but
no,
and even then rap. If you're really into if you're really into rap or anything, that you probably won't like it either. But it's but I used to listen to Boyz II Men as a kid, or I even caught some Tupac and stuff like that. So I really dig a lot of that stuff too, and I try to add a lot of songwriting elements from every genre of music I've had.
Yeah. Well, you got my attention. I have an open mind I love all kind of music except for hard rock, or urban country.
Not really my thing either.
But but anyway, what do you want people to get out of your music? What is the ultimate desire people to get out of your music?
Yeah, I want to have what I call a John Mayer moment. I was given a John Mayer CD when I was 19, and I'd never really heard of him before. And I had this moment where there was a song on the record that I listened to where it seemed like all the problems in my life had just kind of been summed up in this individual song, and it almost seemed like somebody else had gone through this before, and it allowed me to think things through. It allowed me to feel good about the situation I was in, and I want people to have that with my music. I want someone to take and listen to a song, and then maybe 10 years later listen to that same song and have it transport them back in time again, right to that moment when they thought that everything was hopeless and meaningless, and there was a song that gave them clarity. And so that's what I want. I want the music to be timeless. I want somebody to hold it in their heart, hold it in their brains, and have it close to them for the rest of their lives.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Yes, I can feel that. I understand that. Nowadays, people do need to self-help themselves into meditation, because the world is so full of things, and people don't have